It's here first from IPR. I'm Megan McKinney. Governor Reynolds shares her thoughts on the gas tax, and year-round sale of E15 could actually hurt the soybean market. It's Monday, June 22nd. The University of Iowa's Insight program launches July 1st. The 5-year, $10 million initiative will gather data and evidence to better understand how environmental exposures affect human health. Professor David Zwertney is one of the leaders of the program. He says Insight will study long-term exposure to chemicals, environmental pathogens, and contaminants. He says they will look at biomarkers and DNA to see what could indicate health outcomes.
And then we also hope to take those methods and carry them forward so we can start working with patients and practitioners today to start generating better data in Iowans for those biomarkers and biomonitoring, to guide us going forward.
Zwertney made his comments during a webinar with the Iowa Farmers Union. Insight is partially funded by a $5 million gift from the Kyle J. and Sharon Krause Family Foundation. Governor Kim Reynolds says state gas tax revenue isn't keeping up with what's needed to build and maintain Iowa's roads and bridges, and it may be time to have regular increases in the gas tax that are tied to inflation. The tax rate on gasoline and diesel fuel hasn't changed since the 10-cent hike that took effect 11 years ago. Reynolds says there's a growing gap between the revenue being generated by that so-called road use tax and what's needed for the state's transportation system.
We have to be careful about that because of how you decide what it is. Are we looking at it monthly? Are we looking at it annually? Is there some stop gaps in there in case we see things really like we're seeing right now with the Iran war and the impact that that's had on gas prices? But I think that's probably the more realistic way to move forward.
Reynolds made her comments on Iowa Press on Iowa PBS. The property tax bill Senate Republicans released in January had a mechanism that would have automatically triggered increases in the gas tax that were tied to a yearly inflation factor. However, that was not included in the property tax realignment package Reynolds signed into law last month. Reynolds is not running for re-election. A U.S. Senate bill that would allow year-round sales of E15 could hurt the soybean market. Harvest Public Media's Tadeo Ruiz Sandoval reports.
E15 is popular in farm country, but in order to help get lawmakers from oil states on board, the bill includes an exemption. It would allow small refineries to blend less biofuel. Seth Meyer, an ag economist at the University of Missouri, says that's likely to elbow out soybean biodiesel in favor of cheaper-to-blend ethanol. And ultimately, he says that could raise corn prices over soybeans.
The bean folks are saying, wait a minute, corn, you get your E15, but if you are trading off small refinery exemptions, that falls on us.
And he says corn prices might not rise enough to offset potential soybean losses. I'm Tadeo Ruiz Sandoval, Harvest Public Media.
Iowa's fashion mavens and aspiring seamstresses could have the opportunity to join a new members-only collection couture club designed for people who admire style, but also want to study it and get close enough to see the stitches. Christina Castell, curator of history and anthropology at the Putnam Museum and Science Center in Davenport, says the facility has a storage warehouse filled with compelling textiles and garments spanning many decades.
What you get to see is pieces from our collection. People get a chance to get up close and personal. I'm getting the white gloves out so people can actually look at the construction of how these costumes or clothing are made in museums. We call what you would call fashion or clothing costume.
Castell says they'll also host discussions with conservators every other month. The first one is called Behind the Veil and focuses on wedding dresses and trousseau pieces. It opens this Thursday. This is Here First from IPR. I'm Megan McKinney. Thanks for listening today. Hope you had a great official kickoff to summer over the weekend and have a fabulous Monday.